This is Money Guide with Mary Sterk from Sterk Financial Services. Now, here's Mary Sterk.
Welcome to Money Guide with Mary Sterk, and today's topic is moms and money. So we have Mother's Day tomorrow, and we're kind of excited to do this topic. With me today, I have Kelsey Bankey. Hi, Kelsey.
Hi, Mary.
We have had a lot of fun putting this episode of the show together because I will just say Kelsey and I both had amazing mothers, and I think we might be pretty good moms ourselves.
Depends on the day.
At least we're trying. Maybe you shouldn't poll all of our children on any given day. But the bottom line is that moms are very influential in people's lives. And moms give us a lot of money lessons, whether we're considering them to be money lessons or not. They're still embedding them in the very fiber of us when they are raising us. So today we're going to dedicate this show to all the fabulous moms that are out there, and we're going to talk about some of the great money lessons that Kelsey and I both learned from our moms, and some of the things that we think are important that we have passed down or intend to pass down to our own kids. So let's jump right in. One of the best memories that I have about money lessons from my mom, quite frankly, is something that really made me mad when I was growing up. I did not appreciate it as a money lesson when I was a youngster. So I may have told this story before on the show, but I am one of 4 siblings. I had an older brother and then 2 younger sisters. And, you know, my older brother being, of course, the first one and the biggest one, everything was pretty much new for him. But by the time you got down to us girls, then everything was more hand-me-downs. Well, you can imagine with hand-me-downs. Did you have hand-me-downs in your family, Kelsey?
Yeah, even though I was the oldest of 4 girls, I still had my hand-me-downs because I got them from my cousins.
Gotcha. Okay. Were your cousins the boy cousins, or did you get girl clothes?
I lucked out and never really had to wear boy clothes.
Well, that was the thing that frustrated me when I was young, is that I inherited the boy clothes from my older brother. But here's what my mom did, which in retrospect was absolutely fascinating and fun. She would take those boy clothes and then she would try to kind of repurpose them a little bit into girl clothes. So she would take these patches that you could iron on, and she would cut them out into little shapes, and she would iron on fun patches onto the legs and onto the knees of these boy pants to make them look like girl pants. So my little brown corduroy pants that had been my brother's or my little green jeans that were my brother's all of a sudden had fun and funky flower patches all over them of different colors. So I did not feel like fashion icon wearing them, but I will tell you that what I did learn from that is the value of repurposing something and putting just a little bit of sweat equity in something to be able to utilize it and get the most effective use out of something. So that really was a great money lesson, Mom. And if you're listening, I thank you for my flower patch pants. Tell us one of your lessons, Kelsey, that you thought was great.
I'm gonna stick with the clothing theme. When I was a kid, I have four kids in my family, and
you're the oldest, right?
I'm the oldest,
okay.
And there's only 4 years and 3 months from the oldest to the youngest. So,
oh wow, bing bang bong, right in a row.
Yeah, we had a lot of kids very quick, and my parents were also farmers in the 80s, so raising 4 kids in that situation was very difficult, but my mom never let on that anything was tough. For all we knew, our childhood was just as great, and we spent just as much money as everybody else, right? So, but we would go every Friday. We would go to garage sales. I remember this, and I was pretty little when this was going on, and that's where my mom got all of our clothes. If they didn't come from hand-me-downs from my cousins, they were garage sale clothes. Like, I don't think I ever had anything new. And when we'd go to those garage sales, you're taking 4 kids along with you. They're going to want their own stuff to buy because we're all consumers, even at the very young age. And we had a budget at the garage sales. So we could spend 50 cents total the whole day. And so we'd pick something up, a bracelet or a little purse or something we really wanted. And back then it was usually 50 cents would go quite a ways.
Stretch,
But we would pick something up and my mom would say, okay, you can buy that, but then you don't have any money left the rest of the day. And we would think about it, and we got really intentional with our purchases because that we knew it. Mom was not going to give in on that 50-cent budget.
Lesson.
So yeah, we had fun with that. And then we'd always go to McDonald's afterwards and we'd share like one value meal and one extra thing of fries. Again, because we were little kids and that would go a long ways, but it was just, that she never had a lot of excess to spend, but she made it special. We'd go feed the ducks with the bread in the park by the cemetery. I mean, all those little things she did were super fun and didn't cost us hardly anything. And there's some of the best memories we have from those years.
But what I hear in that story is really interesting, from a financial perspective, Kelsey, is that you learned early on the value of intentional purchasing with the money that you had.
Mm-hmm.
So you were taught not to impulse buy because you only had a certain amount of money in your budget.
Absolutely. And I wish I could say that I always hold to that. But again, we're all human.
I bet you do more so than some people, though, just because it was something that was embedded in you as a young person.
Absolutely. Everybody laughs because I'm the researcher in the family. So I want to research my purchases like crazy before I buy them. And I think that all goes back to, making sure I'm spending my money the best way I can.
Let me just say that at our office at Sterk Financial, we love it that Kelsey is the researcher. When we have something to purchase for the office or when we have something that we're looking at, we're like, hey, Kelsey, can you evaluate this? Well, sticking on the clothing theme, another lesson that I learned from my mom was the value of a bargain, and also kind of ties into that intentional spending. So when I was a teenager, my mom, the rule that we had that she gave us was you could spend $20 on a pair of jeans. And when it was back to school shopping time, you could buy one pair of jeans. So $20 was what we had. If you wanted something that was a pair of jeans that was more than $20, that's fine. But you had to pay for the rest of that yourself. And it wasn't that you could borrow the money from them. You needed to have the cash to buy the jeans. So, of course, the jeans I wanted, were ones with the fancy pockets or different things like that. The cool names. Jordache is coming to mind. I don't even know if that is a jeans brand anymore. But, man, I wanted those jeans so badly. And they were definitely more than the $20. So I spent time all summer long saving money from babysitting or saving money from part-time jobs that I had so that I could buy my back-to-school clothes, the ones that I wanted, knowing that I was only going to get $20 from my parents for one pair of jeans. But what it taught me was work ethic, work for what you want. It also taught me the value of a bargain because the truth of the matter is I would have been fine in $20 jeans. It's just not what I wanted. So I think that also fed into my own philosophy of money, which is so strong, is that money really buys you choices. And I wanted the choice of a different kind of jeans, and I needed to go earn the money to have them. So, all right, share another lesson that you learned from your mom, Kelsey.
Oh, when I think of my mom, what always comes to mind is the Iowa State Fair. Now, this is a tradition going back way before my time. My mom said they started going as a family when she was 6.
Oh, wow.
And they would camp there. Mm-hmm. And so we still to this day camp there. My son and my nieces and nephews are very quickly learning to love the family tradition. But a lot of people think of the fair, they think of the Midway and all of the rides and that kind of thing. And they always talk about how expensive the fair is. My sisters and I have a completely different opinion of the fair because in all of the years I've gone, my whole life, I've been on the Midway once.
You're kidding me.
Once. Because what is beautiful about the fair is there's thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of free entertainment and things to look at. And you don't have to spend money every single time you want to do something there. So we are regulars at the shows. We know all the little mazes for the kids. We know where to go for the egg rolling contest. I mean, all these things are free. You just have to find enjoyment in doing that kind of stuff. And we look forward to it every year. We go for 4 days every single year, and we run out of time seeing the things that we want to see. But when I was a little kid, we do spend some money. We would have cleaned out butter containers, and each one of us would have our name on them. And all throughout the year, when we would do extra chores, we would put our nickels and our dimes and our quarters. And my grandma would laugh because
our
butter tub. And we would take it to the fair, and we would load up our little fanny pack with a handful of coins to go down to the fair to decide what, little trinket from the flea market we were going to buy that day. I mean, one year it was a rabbit purse. One year it was a little clown doll. Who knows? But we did get to spend something. But again, it went back to that budget. But in looking back on the fair, between our budget and finding all the free things to do, it was really a fairly inexpensive vacation for us every year.
My mom was masterful at finding free things to do as well. So when we were young, she would take my brother and sister and I at the time and go on long walks around the community. And she would look ahead at what was free. Now, this is, of course, in the days that it's pre-internet. So, she'd be scoping out the things on the wall, on the bulletin board at the library that we could do, or looking at different places around town that would, advertise free things for kids. But they were a single income family. My dad worked and my mom was a stay-at-home mom. And I can tell you, she made the value of $1 stretch by always investigating what were the free resources in the community. What could you go do as a family to have fun? And, that really taught me a couple of things. Number one, it taught me that it's not about what it costs to provide value, but it also taught me about the value of the community that you live in. And our community, much like many communities, has so many amazing resources for children, for activities, for youth of all ages. And then, I think about it as an adult. You could find something to do in our community just about every night of the week if you really wanted to, that doesn't cost money. And whether it's educational or whether it's fun, but it's out there. And so the value of a community and looking for that, I think, is a huge lesson that I definitely learned from my mom.
Absolutely. And then the more that you utilize it, the more that will be offered, because if people aren't showing up, they're going to stop doing things. So that's kind of the fun thing. The more you do it, the more there is.
So in honor of our moms, we have a great thing to give away today. It's called the Beneficiary Guidebook. And, if you are a mom or if you're taking care of your mom, this book is something that's really helpful to just help a parent or give a gift to your children of, if something is going to happen to you, that the next generation has some guidance from you about what to do and how to handle things for you. So if you'd like a copy of that, just go out to our website at sterkfinancialservices.com and you can request it, or send us an email, give us a call. We'd be happy to give that to you.
Congratulations to Mary Sterk and the team at Sterk Financial for earning a spot on multiple Forbes lists for 7 years running, including 2018 to 2024 Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisors, 2018 to 2021 Forbes Top Women Wealth Advisors, and 2022 to 2024 Forbes Best in State Women, #1 in South Dakota.
Welcome back to Money Guide with Mary Sterk. And today, Kelsey, Bankey, and I are talking about moms and money, talking about some great money lessons that we learned from our mothers and that we want to pass down to our own children and grandchildren. So one of the things that stands out in my mind as a memory and is still recreated to this day by my family is a little story about something called Penny Lane. So when I grew up in Indianola, and my dad was an economics professor at Simpson College. And Simpson College, which is actually where Kelsey went.
He was my advisor, ironically.
Talk about a small world. So Simpson College has a campus, and on their campus, they have a really pretty park-type area with a lot of sidewalks through it. So my mom took us on a walk one day, and my brother happened to find a couple pennies on the lane. And it gave my mom an idea. And so she would drop pennies along the sidewalk as we would walk down the first time looking for it. And then we'd double back and we'd find these pennies. And she called it Penny Lane. So it's not really named that. It's only named that within our family. But my brother and I were so flippin' excited to try to go search for pennies on Penny Lane. And I mean, literally an afternoon's worth of entertainment my mom was able to create for like 12 cents. And she just planted these. We had no idea that she was doing that, because when you're little, you don't understand what's happening. But as we got older, then we got in on the game, right? And so we were able to help my mom plant the pennies for younger siblings. And now we do it for grandkids. And they just think it's so cool that they can find and search for these pennies. And it's the value that I learned in that is that it has nothing to do with the amount of money. The value is in the time spent and also the creativity when it comes to using a very, very tiny amount of money to create a very, very large amount of entertainment. So I thought that was really kind of a neat memory with my mom and money.
Oh, when I was a kid, it's talking about time spent together. We, four little girls. My dad was a farmer. He also worked in town as well. And
like many farmers,
they
farm
farmers,
and then they
you
have
two
a
jobs.
side job.
Yeah, you have two jobs. So we would, so a lot of times it was me and my sisters and my mom getting out of the house together. And we would go to the nursing home and play bingo with the residents. So my mom would lead the bingo, and we would take a box full of just random little trinkets. I mean, soaps from hotels and just old costume jewelry that my great aunt gave us and just all this random stuff. And I was very young when we did this. So I was maybe, 6, meaning my youngest sister was 2. And all 4 of us would sit with one of the residents that probably couldn't see as well or couldn't hear as well. And we'd help them fill out their bingo cards. And then when they win, we'd help them pick out a prize. And I, to this day, still enjoy volunteering at nursing homes because I think so early on I got very comfortable with them.
Yeah.
But what I think that really can teach is that everybody can contribute. It doesn't matter your age, doesn't matter your wealth. Everybody, regardless of your situation, can help somebody. And it can also be fun. It doesn't have to be, you think of volunteering, you think of really hard work, digging ditches or, weeding flower beds or whatever. But it can be something really fun for you. And to get your kids involved and to do something and do it as a family. And it very likely will have a long lasting impression on your kids.
Very true. And that also ties into something that I think that is important to teach our own kids, or for our listeners, a lot of you have grandchildren, is that money lessons are often taught very effectively through games. So the games that you play with your family members are great ways to instill some of these important lessons. For instance, my grandson, who's 5 years old right now, has multiple times played store with me. So we have a little cash register that has a little fake money. We have a little basket. He goes shopping in my pantry and takes things off the shelves and brings them over. And he doesn't quite get the whole thing because he thinks that, I should ring up these things at the store and give him the money as well. So he hasn't quite figured out the concept of how the money exchange works for the goods and services that he's purchasing. But that's okay, because what he is learning that there are different things that have different value. And even something as simple that I'm teaching him as like the bigger things cost more money, or you have to have a bigger bill for a bigger item or a smaller coin for a smaller item. And yes, of course, that's not always true, but it's at least putting some ideas into his head that things have different values. And money exchange happens if you want stuff. So silly little games like that, I think, are really, really strong ways to teach your children about money.
Well, and I think also just teaching them at a young age is important. My my son, when he was only 2 years old, and my husband, this just drove him nuts, but I think he started to catch on later. But when we would go to the farmer's market, every weekend we'd go to the farmer's market, and he would get a donut. And he would always ask me, Mommy, go to Marketplace. I want a donut, So, but I would give him the money because he doesn't quite understand he has money in his piggy bank yet. But I would give him the money, but I'd make him give it to the cashier because I wanted him to start learning that when I get a donut, I have to give them money. When I get something, I have to give them money, and starting to understand that exchange.
Yes. And one of the things that I think my children would say, and with a laugh, that they learned from me is that when it comes to money, the thing that's for sure is there's going to be tax. Everybody has to pay tax. And my dad actually is the one that taught me this when we were young and we went Halloween trick-or-treating. When we would bring our candy home, the first thing we'd have to do is hand the bags to him so he could paw through it and find his favorite candy and consider that to be tax for his efforts as a father. So we learned very early on that when you have bounty, you pay tax to somebody that has authority. And I did take that one and pass it down to my kids. So it doesn't even matter what it is. If they have some kind of candy abundance in our house, the tax man cometh in the form of their mom. So they get, like a Valentine's box of candy or something, they open it, they just hand me the box to take the tax out first. I'm like, hey, apparently you've learned the lesson about taxes. This is great parenting, and it tastes really good.
One of the benefits of being a parent there.
Absolutely. So, well, we have time for one more lesson. Kelsey, share your last lesson that is that you are for sure want to pass down to your child that you think is very important.
Oh, well, growing up on a farm, I think that is one of the best places, not the only place, but one of the best places to learn really hard work.
Work ethic is born on farms in
Absolutely.
The Midwest for sure.
And it's probably also going to mean you're going to be dirty too. So my first jobs, I was involved in a lot of activities, so I couldn't hold a regular scheduled job. So I had a lot of jobs where I could fit them into my schedule. And I cleaned combines.
Okay.
For my first job. And the combines, they were really, really, really dirty. And this would take me 20 hours.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not exaggerating, to clean one. And I would come out looking like I just crawled out of a swamp. But I also got paid really well to do it. And I very early on learned to associate really hard work a lot of times can mean really good money. And the things that are worth doing are going to probably pay the most, but you got to commit and you got to give it your all, and it's not going to be pretty, but in the end, you'll have a nice little paycheck to help you out.
What a great lesson. Well, shout out to all the moms out there who are teaching their kids about money or have, done so in the past. We appreciate you, and happy Mother's Day to everyone. And I just want to make a quick announcement that the Ready to Pull the Retirement Trigger book that I wrote is available for pre-order. You can go out to any of your favorite bookstores and search for it, or you can type it into Amazon or Barnes & Noble and pre-order your book to be shipped sometime between probably May 20th and June 20th when it hits bookstores. So if you are a mom who's ready to retire, there's some good input in there for you, and we hope you find it valuable. All right, thanks everybody for listening to Money Guide with Mary Sterk.
Sterk Financial Services is celebrating 20 years in 2024. The views expressed are not necessarily the opinion of your audio provider and should not be construed directly or indirectly as an offer to buy or sell any securities or services mentioned herein. Investing is subject to risks, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can ensure a profit nor protect against loss. Please note that individual situations can vary. Therefore, the information should only be relied upon when coordinated with individual professional advice. Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth, Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Insurance offered through Sterk Financial Services, which is not affiliated with Osaic Wealth. Osaic Wealth is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic Wealth. The rankings for the Forbes Best in State Wealth Advisors list by Shook Research is based on due diligence meetings to evaluate each advisor qualitatively, a major component of a ranking algorithm that includes client retention, industry experience, review of compliance records, firm nominations, and quantitative criteria, including assets under management and review generated for their firms. The Forbes ranking of America's top women wealth advisors is based on an algorithm of qualitative and quantitative data, rating thousands of wealth advisors with a minimum of 7 years of experience and weighing factors like revenue trends, assets under management, compliance records, industry experience, and best practices learned through telephone and in-person interviews. There is no fee in exchange for rankings. Forbes is a trademark of Forbes Media LLC. All rights reserved. Rankings and recognition from Forbes Shook Research are no guarantee of future investment success and do not ensure that a current or prospective client will experience a higher level of performance results, and such rankings should not be construed as an endorsement of the advisor.